get a pen?
I'm gonna grab it that, I don't think we need two pens here now. I'll drop the pen back for you.
Well, Sarah needs a pen too. I
Oh.
I got
Hey,
pen, Sarah. I got extra pen. We got one extra.
I don't need it, but I didn't know if you needed one. That's,
We're ready. Pens.
the seats.
Oh, yeah. In my bed. And then I ordered a diaper. Sincerely, but I quit. I don't like the taste of normal. Isn't that funny? I just tried to drink it today and I'm like, weird. It's so sweet.
Yeah, it is sweet, Dr. Pepper, naturally, yeah.
Huh, I know. I mean, it's zero. Make it sad.
You got it?
I just gotta do it together. So all the friends. And make copies. One more to go. Thank you. You did a great job though. It's really just redlining.
Okay, good,
Portion.
good. Okay.
All right, 6 o'clock. Welcome everybody. That we see people here for us. To meet people when they have a special event, awards or that kind of stuff. Other than that, we don't usually see very many. So welcome. Call to order this Oklahoma City Council Truth and Taxation public hearing. We'll start off, I'll start off with a little bit of a statement. Before you go into public hearing. Presentation. My statement is this: we're here for a couple reasons tonight. The first reason why we have to be here is or what we're considering is inflation. The second reason that we're here is because of the legislature's inability or unwillingness to address inflation. So if you looked at your tax notice, you've probably seen a whole bunch of cities, a whole bunch of districts, everybody with tax hearings. Cities have tried on and off. We have a thing called Utah League of Cities and Towns, where we try to get them to have the legislature address. It seems like they want this to be more, instead of the community working together, they want it to be more an adversarial type thing. So having said that, I'm sure this is not going to be an adversarial type thing. Please be respectful to each other, the dependents. Let's address this in a really civilized, orderly manner. Each person that would like to speak to us will have 3 minutes. There's a timer that Amy makes a racket. But what I really would appreciate is, while we do our presentation here, please pay attention. It's very informative. What I have found in the past by 40 years of government presentations that I've talked to people after and said, well, we covered a lot of that in the presentation, and this is what they tell me. I know, you probably did. I'm not a public speaker. I was rehearsing in my mind what I wanted to say when I got my 3 minutes. That's a very real thing. Okay, that's a very real thing, and several people have told me that. But okay, I can actually see that. You know, I'm going to get up and I'm going to say my piece, and this is what I'm going to say. And it's almost like sometimes it's been almost kind of humorous or embarrassing because it's like it goes off. So I talked to them afterwards, and that's what they told me. So please pay attention and listen to what we're really presenting here, why we're presenting it. I think it would do both of us a great service if we could do that. So having said that, I'd entertain a motion to go into a public hearing to discuss and consider an action to increase Oklahoma City's property tax revenue and certified tax. Motion by Arrington, second by Yuri, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, how we'll proceed is we'll start with the presentation. It's not going to be too long.
No, not at all.
There's a lot of time for you guys to comments, staff discussions. I felt it. He's still, when he had other commitments, he is really. Yeah, he really is. He really would like to.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, yeah, for those that don't know, this is Amy Mamie, she's our city administrator. Hey,
Okay, I'm on it. Well, welcome everyone to our truth and taxation hearing this evening. Just to start off with. Test. Wow, I'm always loud. That is amazing. Okay, so just to start off with, I thought it was helpful to break down the variety of services that the city provides, and this is where your tax dollars go. And so we do have general administrative functions, operations management, planning, development, building inspections, records management, human resources, business licenses, budget, financing, our justice court, recreational programming, events, website, newsletter, contract management, legal, youth council, emergency management, and the best fireworks in northern Utah. The mayor asked me to put that in there. And then also with regard to our police department and public safety, we offer 24/7 operations with our officers, and they do a fine job with that, law enforcement, patrol, traffic enforcement, investigation, accident and general assistance, emergency response, crime prevention, victim support, mental health support, community engagement, code enforcement, K-9, school resource officer, and community policing. With regards to our public works, we maintain roads, streets, sidewalks, manage water utility infrastructure and distribution systems, maintain sewer and storm water drainage systems, assist with contract management for garbage and recycling, maintain city-owned buildings and facilities, keep public parks, playgrounds, and recreational areas maintained, manage our fleet, streetlights and traffic signals, snow and ice removal, capital projects and coordination of engineering services, and then meet, which is covered federal and state requirements. So there's a lot that the city does, and some of it isn't always acknowledged. I just thought that was a really good overview as to where your tax dollars are going. So with regards to the budget this year and stepping forward and having the discussions with the council and kind of how we landed here in a truth and taxation hearing, it really was a challenging budget year. So we've seen with the record inflation, as the mayor referenced, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, but limited funding availability for continuation of our service levels, and also unprecedented growth, which is really exciting, but we haven't really seen the profits from that yet. And so we have an increased tax burden, but don't yet see the benefit of that. And that is going to come, but it's not here yet. And then the inflationary increases for employees have been tough. And so that's something we're looking at addressing in the budget to try to keep our employees, reduce turnover costs to help them have proper pay. Also, we decreased employee insurance offerings and increased out-of-pocket copays. That wasn't very popular, but something we looked to do to trim the budget. And it was a really difficult decision, but also eliminated a proposed police detective position because our budget was so tight this year. But even with an increase in the proposed taxes, the budget dips into rainy day funds, and I'll go into a little bit more depth on that. And our future needs to address fleet for the city are unknown and fluctuating. It seems that the economy is really kind of hitting us hard on that. And but I do want to end on a positive note that we do have new growth coming, and we're very excited about that. And we're very hopeful that that will contribute to our next year's budget. So just to reiterate a little bit, with the inflation, we are dealing with record inflation levels. Our last property tax increase occurred in 2021, and since then inflation has increased by 12.9%, and you can kind of see those numbers. And I know it's hitting you all, and it's hitting the organization of the city as well. The cost of goods have gone up substantially, and so one of our council members, actually Councilmember Nelson, who wasn't able to make it tonight, asked what's happened with the price for, our road salt, for instance, something that we do for a public safety mechanism. And just looking at, it was really interesting, in 2020, 2021, there were no changes to that. And then once we pull the 2024 receipts, like, whoa, that's a big bump in just a couple of years. And so that's something that we've been hit with as well, is the cost of goods and the cost of staffing as well. So when we look at the history of Pleasant View's tax rates and the number of increases that we've had, it really is rather minimal, especially because the structure of the state property tax equation really doesn't account for inflation. It ultimately adjusts and adjusts our tax rate. So if your property values go up, our tax rate will go down if maintained. And so we've done a few increases. 2017 was probably one of the main years. The fire department separated out in 2009. That's the note up at the top. And then in 2020 and 2021, we had some increases as well. And we're looking at obviously proposing one this evening. So I feel like this graph is really helpful. This is actually your total tax ratio. So you're talking about all of the taxing entities. So the county, abatement district, the libraries, the school district, that's the biggest one that hits on there, and kind of shows with the blue line, that's kind of an average property value in the community. And you see how that steadily increased. And then also the total property tax bill is steadily increased. But if we look at just the city's numbers, it's a little bit different. And so you see the blue bars are what the city's tax has been. And you look at kind of the range on the side there, and it probably goes down to a little bit under 200, and it's gone up to a little bit over 300. But again, there's been a little bit of fluctuation with the valuation of the home, but it's been pretty across the board. And I think that that really demonstrates that there haven't been a lot of increases in the city yet, even with the increasing costs of homes. We haven't been getting more revenue from that. So this pie chart just shows a breakdown of all of the property taxes that are assessed here in Weber County. And so the largest one, as I referenced prior, is that Weber School District. It's about 50%. And part of the reason for that is they don't have other taxing mechanisms the same as the city. Same with Northview Fire District, Weber County, and then Pleasant View, we take about 8.3% of the pie. So this is a number breakdown of a property tax bill, and I'm gonna see if I can move this little guy. Maybe. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Great idea. I'm like, there's no room. Too much information on the slide. So this is a breakdown, and you can actually go on to Weber County's website and look at your particular property and the history of it. It goes back very extensively. But again, looking at that percentage and the rates and kind of how those come into play, the city's portion is not a huge part of that. And so with the proposed increase that we're looking at, we're not looking at increasing that total amount at the bottom, but it's that highlighted portion of the cities. That's what we're here to discuss this evening. Oh, there we go. So one of the things that I think is helpful to evaluate as well is the rates of comparable communities. And so probably the two most comparable communities to Pleasant View are North Ogden and Harrisville. And the reason being is we share special service districts, and so we share a fire department. And in looking at that and the rates assessed, our rate is substantially lower than the other communities, yet we're still providing full service, just like they are with police and with all of the other services that I described. So it's a significant lower amount, yet, I mean, we're kind of running on a shoestring budget. I included Ogden in here, and part of the reason why is to show that even with their current rate, if they maintain that, it doesn't bump or change a rate increase there. And so they still have to do a truth in taxation hearing, and so the rates do go down even if you're maintaining those rates. And so with regards to the general fund carryover, or what's called the rainy day fund, that's ultimately what we look at dipping out with this. Again, we've got our budget established to maintain services. If there's questions about services or reducing those services, that's absolutely, part of the dialogue here. But the city has a goal for its rainy day fund, so its emergency fund, to maintain 22% of its operating budget. Utah code has a broad requirement with this to maintain between 5 and 35%. I will say, because of the significant services that are provided, if we were to go too low, it could be catastrophic for the city, because if we had an emergency transaction, if something major broke or were damaged, a city facility, we would need some type of funding to make up that. And so it's kind of that emergency savings. And so the current budget with the increase includes a 19.61%. So we're dropping below that goal with this. If we were to not do a property tax increase, that would put it to the 17.28%. And I guess just the question posed, without an increase, what would we be willing to give up? So this gives a breakdown if someone, and the average property value is what was determined by Weber County, is about $638,000, of what the impacts would be on a residential or a commercial unit. And so you're looking at, with the proposed increase, at the 18%, a monthly increase in your property tax bill, and obviously those are usually paid annually, but about $4.09. For an annual additional contribution, it would be about $49.13. With a commercial property, they're taxed at a higher rate. So residential is at 55% of market value, commercial is 100% of market value. And so it would be a monthly increase of 7.44% or $7.40. Wow. And then the annual would be $89.32. With regards again to the city services, that kind of is what that provides in that increase. So with that, that's the extent of my presentation. I don't know if council members of the mayor have any questions of me.
Some comments, I just want to highlight a couple things. One thing that is scary and some people don't understand, and that's you got a $4,000 a year tax bill, and if you look at 18%, it's not 18% of your total tax bill. It's just the city's 8% of your tax bill. So on $638,000, almost $4. The other thing I want to really point out is those city services. You see all these other services, but the service that really affects each of us are the city services. And yet we're at 8% of your tax bill. And we take great pride in keeping that flow, keeping it down. If you looked at North Ogden and Harrisville, and they have to run their cities, and they're doing what they need to do, and that's great. But if you notice, theirs is almost double what ours is. So that I think that's just speaks volumes to what this group and groups before us have done to try to keep the tax. The second thing I wanted to point out is the new growth. This is this year's budget that we're concerned with. This year, of all the new growth you're seeing down there, which again, this group has done a fantastic job, probably better than any group before us, of bringing new retail businesses to get sales tax. Or we're going to get sales tax. The only property tax we're receiving this year that we haven't in the past is on the Rush Fund Center, because it was completed in November. The county assesses property as of January 1st. So the county assessor says this is what this property is worth. And if you're still building, if you're not done with your building, you ain't got an occupancy permit, you haven't opened up, they assess it as just what it was before. Commercial property. Building doesn't count until it's completed. So we will be picking up next year, a year from now, we will get the other value for all those other buildings that have. So that was just the one building. Again, we're really hoping for the future. Now it would really be easy for us to just say 0% tax increase. We're going to let our range go down to 70%. That's what we're really talking about. We have balanced. We've cut things like Amy showed you. We balanced, but we dipped way down. We were at 20. What was our prior year range in balance? Remember last year?
I think it was 24 when it was the end.
So now we're dropped down to 17.28. And when it says a catastrophic event, we really dipped into our rainy day budget 4 years or 5 years ago when we had this major break up here on 500. Water main break, and it washed out a lot of road. It was that's not a budget, it's a less money. So what we're doing here is saying, hey, what do we need our reserves to be? Given the fact that we feel like we're a very well-ran, very conservative city who have done, us and our predecessors have done a great job of keeping the rates low. Well, that's kind of, I'm just trying to sum up kind of in a nutshell. Now, I'd like to open it up, and hopefully you paid attention to that presentation. We all pay taxes. inflation has been affecting all of us, every one of us. I won't say I'm on a fixed income, like I said, I'm broken, but I do get social security, and I did get social security cost of living. So at least the Social Security Administration is keeping up with some of that stuff. Again, it's kind of frustrating for us because the state doesn't. The state doesn't seem to do that, so they leave it in our hands, and we are going to be in a lot better shape in years going forward. So, but we're addressing this year right now, and that 17.28. Even if we pass the entire increase, we're going to still be almost 5% under where we were last year. Stage. So the time is yours. In 3 minutes, the clock will make a terrible noise. State your name, your address.
Not that I'm in a hurry or anything, but I am.
First off, congratulations to Larry Hansen. This is Larry Hansen. He was voted into the Weaver County Arena Hall of Fame. He's done great service to them over the last 20 years. That happened there.
Sorry.
That didn't count.
No, I was just trying to use that. I'm sorry. Okay.
I'm Larry Hanson. I live at the top of 500, that's 4296 north. And I'm actually speaking for on behalf of a number of retirees. They asked me if I would maybe make a few comments. First of all, you guys do a fantastic job. I've lived in this little city now for about 7 years, and I enjoy living here. Now, that being said, needless to say, over that time frame, I've seen all my taxes on my house double. And I understand that you only get a small percentage of it. There's not much that us as people can do with Weaver County School District and talking with them. There's not much that we can do with the county and tell them. You can try, but it does not really go very far. So you guys are kind of the direct line of fire, if you will, and it probably feels like you're on a firing line tonight, and rightfully so, because the people are concerned. And the biggest concerns that they had that have come to me, and they said, where would you like them to cut back for you to receive that money? In other words, someone on a fixed income, are they supposed to then put this particular medication? Do they not eat this week? Do they go and get day-old bread instead of fresh bread? And that's been their biggest concern, is that they don't have the ability to change, and a lot of them are afraid that what this is going to do, there's nothing that they can do. This is eventually going to force them out of their home, that they love being a part of this. And so my recommendation would be, yes, we don't want to delete a rainy day fund. We want to keep that, take it to the minimum, and if we can possibly look at this and extend it another year before that happens, because of inflation, the cost of living and everything has been just out of this world for everyone. And none of us in this room that I am aware of has received any kind of increase in their pay enough to offset what's happened, not only with the city, but with the rest of the state and everything else. And so it would be with great caution that these folks that asked me, and myself as well, would be to think as hard as you possibly can, and if there is any way that we as citizens can help and do things to release some of the burden and to help things get through, that we don't have to have this type of increase that can hurt people in the final. And thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You gotta love him there. He does a lot for the community. Don't ever miss the show. My name is Steve Weller, 456 West, 3925 North. I want to thank each one of you. I've sat in your chair 8 years on the council and 8 years as the mayor. I know where you're coming from. And I know you're not the most popular tonight in some parties, but thank you. And I want to remind everybody that this is an open and free community. You can put your name on the ballot, you know, like how they're doing it. But I would ask you to please, in your comments tonight, be respectful to them. They have a tough job to do. I only have a real quick thing to say. I've lived here 30 years. My wife is a lifetime resident of Pleasant View. It's becoming harder and harder to live in Pleasant View, to afford to live in Pleasant View. And it's hard enough now that some of us might not be able to live in Pleasant View anymore. And even harder, we won't be able to grow old. Thanks, Mayor. That's all I have to say.
Good evening, my name is Christopher Altieri, I live at 1332 West. I just want to thank you guys tonight for hosting everything. I did take some notes. First and foremost, with respect, I'll lead with the main points I'd like to make and say out loud. The 2024 budget slide pointed out that unprecedented growth has been seen commercially and no benefit has been seen yet. I'd like to remind everybody that that is a decision and investment that this board has made, and that shouldn't be expected to see a return in such a timely manner. It's good that the Rush Funplex got stood up and everything, but other projects that saw groundbreaking before, and even were completed before Rush, I think, had its first brick laid, like Boyer complex across 98 or excuse me, 89, where they're still empty. I don't know what you guys expect from that, in addition to all of the commercial development going on the outside of that, down by the Trigon station. Street name escapes me right now. No revenue has been seen yet from the increase in home prices. Home prices are also inflated. Everything's in very volatile flux right now. Rainy day fund, I think it is very fiscally, I myself am very fiscally conservative. It's very responsible for a rainy day fund. I don't know the numbers, so I can only assume that a increase from 17.5% to 22.5% is commensurate with inflation and also equally as responsible. But with the point that was also made that January is also a period of the county where the state assesses commercial properties as viable properties, thus can bring money from that investment that the city has made. I would echo the statement that maybe this ought to be delayed a little bit. With that, I'm not exactly sure if I'm allowed to ask questions, but I again like to ask them out loud. What's the goal that's to be achieved by such a drastic increase? I think you guys addressed that with the rainy day fund, but what direct benefit does this offer to homeowners and taxpayers other than an increased rainy day fund? What are the anticipated consequences to new current tenured homeowners? Lots of tenured homeowners out here. One just spoke to a bunch of other people. I myself am a new homeowner. I've lived here for 5 years, seen things go up. I've seen the same road get repaved about 3 times since I've lived here. So I have questions about that. But I have trust in this board. What is the alternative to raising homeowners' property taxes? Where else do we tighten our belt that may be translatable to what this board may be able to do? With that, I don't want to take any more time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Teresa Lingo, at 3967 North and 1050 West. We moved here, my husband and I moved from the Chicago area via Houston, here in 2020. So this will be our second tax increase. I know you said we didn't have one until 2021 and now we're having one in 2024. So for those of us who haven't lived for that long, but it happens everywhere. I want to thank you for holding this. I think this is really an important opportunity for us. I just had a couple things that I had a question on. And I think it was really helpful when you stated that the 18% increase was, if I understand it right, was part of the 80.3% increase of the budget of the city, not the overall tax bill. That made a huge difference in my mind. I breathed a little bit easier on that. But my question on not seeing the dividends yet, the new businesses that we have we offered as a city, and I guess I'd like to ask the question, I just placed out there for y'all, but have we offered a big tax incentive discount for companies coming here? So will we actually see them come next year? Do you think? Yeah. You answered my question on that. So I'd say thank you. I think this is a wonderful city to live in. We just love it and we love the people, and thanks again.
Well, name's Kendall Geiger. I live in Pleasant Field subdivision. And I need to speak to you in terms of your presentation. When you're talking about percentages, when you're talking about unknown amounts, it tells me you see opportunity. You don't want to have a tight budget. You don't want to be on the edge. You want to have a little cushion. Now, I don't know if you need 6%, and if you don't ask for 18, you're not gonna get 6. I don't know how you're working the system, but I know that your 18% is in my county taxes. They've already sent me a notice and they're telling me this year, I'm bringing them a check with 18% increase. And when I look at the line items on the county's docket, they're paying Pleasant View City. You may think there's a delay or that you're behind because new businesses are here, new houses are here, it's growing, it's bigger. You're getting a bigger participation. Use the right percentage for the money's there. They're not gonna say, oh gosh, we're new, we didn't sell gas this month, so we can't send you any money. They're not gonna say, oh my gosh, I forgot to collect the connection fees on my lot. And hooked up all these houses without paying the city for those houses coming into Pleasant View. But when you start talking about jumping on 18% increase, you're doubling what the real world's doing. I pay 30% more for my groceries now. But it's okay. My social security went up 3%. But I have to pay 30% more for my groceries now. My gas, my costs to live here, I pay every day.
Okay, thank you.
Is that my 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Sorry, he has a little bit more time. I messed up on the timer. I'm sorry.
I'll just get worse. I think you're getting my drift about how you're approaching this and about what your need is. We want to deal with our need. When I look around this room, I see a lot of people like me. I don't see them getting increased incomes. I don't see them playing the percentage game that you're playing with this tax hike. And I appreciate it if you'll rethink this. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, just so everybody knows, two statements. Number one, the tax quote notice you have received is just your valuation notices. They're telling you what the valuation would be, and they're telling you what, if everybody passes those increases, that's what your amount's gonna be. They will, at the close of all these public hearings and everything, and all the adopted tax rates, they will send out what's called the property tax notice, which is the one that you have to pay before November 30th. And it will make any adjustments that were made, so it's not, you're not already going to be billed for 18%. That's the anticipated. Second thing is percentages. I hate percentages because they are misleading. And that's why we try to clarify in actual dollar amounts and explaining to each of you what 18% means $4. So $4 a month, to get that $4 a month, but yeah, that's what it is. It is misleading percentages. And they want it, again, they want the percentage because they want everybody to go 18%, whereas because if it was like $4 a month, we're gonna have half the crowd. We really would, if that. If everybody, you know, if we advertise and say we're gonna increase your property tax $4 a month because inflation has gone up 9%. The city, which is you, okay, the city is not exempt from inflation. It affects us in our personal life and it affects the city, again, which is all of us.
But if
We are the city.
we're already paying the inflation every week when we go to the
Oh,
store.
I know.
We're prepaying inflation right
You're
now.
absolutely right, but what I'm saying is like just for one example of the salt, the city on your behalf, we've got to keep up with inflation. I mean, or we cut services. Okay, next.
This follow-up question I forgot to ask last time. Do we have that opportunity to say?
Just ask your neighbor.
My name is Dave. I live on 3950. I've been a resident of Pleasant View 27 years.
What was your last name?
Scott. I don't know how much longer I can continue being a resident of Pleasant View. I've been on fixed social security for 12 years. I see 2% social security, 0% social security, a whopping 8% one time. And now we're down to minus. If I look at my tax bill correct, if you did not have this increase due to the rise of value of property, you guys are gonna get a 10% increase anyway. I figured out the numbers. It says X amount of dollars if it's not passed, X amount of dollars if it is passed. I do the math on my personal property tax, it's 10%. I have a brother-in-law who's on city council in South Ogden. And we were discussing this. And he informed me that Pleasant View City is asking for about twice the amount of increase as any of the other city surrounding areas. I asked him how they are doing it. And he says, we know everybody is hurting. So this is not the year to be doing it. So I think they're only asking for a 3%. He says, hopefully next year will be better. I'm asking you guys, please hold off. We are starving. Inflation is killing us. 12 years on Social Security. Fixed income. Can't keep it up. Thank you.
All right, I feel bad that I keep addressing this, but I think it needs to be clarified because things that are being said, I really want you to listen, everybody, okay? Because he made some really good points. One was, I don't know if I can afford to live in Pleasant View anymore. I don't know where you're gonna go, because we have one of the lowest rates in the entire county. South Ogden has one of the highest rates. So I bet you their 3% is gonna bring in a lot more money than our 18 is proposed. That's neither here nor there, but don't forget where you live and what you've got already, okay? What we're proposing, we're proposing 18% on this, and and she showed you the slide, and we can bring it back up, but it shows the different cities. Yeah, if just for North Ogden, okay, we're at 0.0007 and they're at 0.001198. Okay, Harrisville, if you look at Harrisville, it's almost double us. Almost double. Ogden 3 times. Ogden's rates 3 times what we. Zero zero nine. Yeah, South Ogden is 0.09438, and we're 0.007. No, they're one of the highest. South Ogden is one of the highest in the county. But we're not here about South Ogden or any of these cities. We're here about Pleasant View. And I want you to remember where we're really sitting. Again, just remember, because when you say, I don't know if we can afford to live here, it's like, I don't know where you can afford to not live here. Well, this is a great community and the taxes are some of the lowest in the state.
So if I understand, this has been an education for me to be on this council and understand the rates, because I also open up I'm married to a school teacher. I work in a school. Our budgets are very, very small, and I'm looking at my property tax notice, and if everybody got their increase like they advertised, my property taxes would go up $250 a year, something like that. But the Northview Fire Board didn't have their increase like they were supposed to. It was lower, and neither here nor there. But so the increase is on our rates. It's not an overall 18% of the whole thing. So if you look at the rate, and if it were to pass, it'd be an increase of a rate, in percentage on a rate. And so that helps me, it doesn't help me overall, but it helps me to understand what we're discussing. It's an increase no matter how you look at it. But still, it's on a rate, it's not on your overall property tax bill, if that makes sense.
I agree with the thing you're saying. I understand the things you're saying, but I don't want anything misrepresented to either us or the group. I want you to remember what you really truly have here in this, because it's great for a community like ours, the size of ours, to have that tax rate is absolutely phenomenal. So, and I'm not saying we should increase or decrease, I don't know. What I'm saying is, right now, we're trying to address this year, and what really is being addressed is that rainy day fund. It's like, what is the council comfortable with, maintaining the rainy day fund? Because I do believe, and we all believe, because we worked hard, okay, to establish the zones and get the business in here, like I said, in unprecedented, and we know we're going to receive benefits from those. So, next.
Basic class. And all respect, all get on many of you. So I've been here in Pleasant View for 21 years. Built a house on 750. Since I've been here, my taxes have doubled. Really doubled. When does it stop? I understand that the things change with inflation. But please recognize the people behind me here are in a tight spot. I'm gonna be retiring 2 weeks from today. I will be sitting on that same fixed income. And there's gotta be, I don't understand your numbers, and I love Pleasant View. And really, I couldn't find a good offensive that we compared us to everybody else. Let's look at our own situation, right where we're at. We have people who are suffering. And because of inflation. Listen, I would just encourage all of you to just rethink this. See if there's somewhere else that we can, you know, back up and cut something else and go and cut off the back somewhere. Because, you know, there's a limit. For several people say, I can't afford to live in front of you. And you say, where do you go? That's kind of a slap in the face, really, if you ask me. Because I love it here. And I want to do, you know, I want these people to be here too. They've been retired a lot longer than I have. So, with all due respect, certainly reconsider.
My name is Rich Holt. We live at 103 West, 4300 North. I think one more house, our neighbor who lives on the borderlines, we're almost in North Ogden. But what I wanted to comment on, in my profession, I was a golf course superintendent for many years, 20, 30, 40 years. And some were very high-end golf courses. And I learned at an early stage in my career to never compare with other golf courses because the revenue streams are different. Everything's different. This is our city here. Those other cities, who knows what they're going, what they go through? Who knows what their mayor is like? Who knows what anything is like? But this is our city. And what I would like to do, because I had to go through a lot of times where we had to cut budgets and we had to figure out a way to make it work. And it was on me. And so what I would like to recommend that you do, and I like what Larry said, extend it, try to not do it this year and extend it. But like, I don't know how the city's set up, I really don't, but like, there has to be people in charge of all of the projects that are going. And they need to learn to be frugal and maybe save a little bit here and there. I heard this gentleman over here say about the paving in the street. We witnessed that. The first year we were here, they tore up the street and fixed a few things. And then, just last year, they, they paved and chip sealed and did it all again. And now we're thinking about maybe doing, fiber optic. And they'll tear it up again. And, you know, if you just could coordinate things to make it run smoothly and efficiently and be frugal in all decisions, that would be great. Thank you.
I'm Kristen Norman, I live in 298 North. One of my questions is that I'm confused about when you say that when our property evaluations go up, that you don't get an increase in taxes. How is that possible and why is that?
I can address that. So the law says that we can't capture increase. Wow. Okay, so I'm gonna write it down to even numbers. Let's say your house is assessed at $500,000. $500,000, and we get say $100 a year. And next year, and our tax rate might be 0.0008. Again, keeping it simple. And next year they come in, by the way, I got a sticker on or a door hanger on the door that the county is coming around to revalue houses, so they never tell us, but I had one on my door yesterday, so they're coming through again, so. Anyway, so let's say county goes through and revalues your property, and now it's worth $700,000 in there, right? So you would think, well, my tax is gonna go up. Because now I'm paying $200,000 more, but they don't. They do is they will lower the rate. If you go back to the tax rate. This year, with the tax rates, you'll see years in where it would actually increase. Now,
So that's a pretty significant jump between 2023 and 2024.
So-
Is that a proposed jump or is that what it actually is?
And those are that's the city tax, but you're looking at these amounts here.
So you're telling me that if the county says that my house is worth $1 million, that you're only getting paid on $500,000 of that because that's what you got paid in 2018?
they'll lower the tax rate, but
I know, but
again,
it's
it's
not,
not per household. Because your next door neighbors might only.
you
gone
are
up
getting an
100,000.
increase when our valuations go up, aren't
No.
you? Yes,
Oh, not-
none.
not.
So you haven't had an increase, even though we're looking at our taxes. And they told us that we have an increase of $400,000 that nobody's gonna see. You know, we're not selling our houses, we want to live in our houses. And we're paying these huge property tax increases, and you're saying the city gets none of them. Not unless we.
Not unless they're making
So
sale right here.
why are we paying more each year
Because other,
to you?
If the value of your home changes,
When I go and look at it, that's what I'm saying. So it does increase.
but it doesn't increase the total amount the city gets. So we get a capped amount unless we hold this hearing.
You
So
had a count.
they'll lower the tax rate.
I'm so confused by this. I just don't understand how it can look like that on my property taxes and not.
Because it's overall the entire city. So some people might have gone up a lot. If yours is one that went up a lot, yours is gonna go up.
Call John Newberry and have a discussion with him. He can tell you that they will, because some people's houses, you know, the rate, it went down, yours went up or whatever else.
Just depends on your individual house.
Okay,
The
so that
city itself.
it's
is-
a bizarre concept, and I don't understand that at all. But the other thing I just wanted to say is that I would love if you guys would just wait and figure out how much money is actually gonna come in from all of these businesses that are coming into town. Because we don't know, things are changing so quickly. I think that you know, conservatively dropping down to, you know, that rainy day fund is a great option. I appreciate all that you guys do. I appreciate everything that you've presented here today, and I just think it would be an awesome idea to hold off and see where we're at, because the city's growing. You brought in a lot of great businesses. I'm super grateful for it, and I think that that would be an excellent option. So thank you so much.
Can I just, I'll make one comment to that? Because it is very confusing, but if we hold the rate at a certain level, then we capture some inflation, we get more if we hold the rate year to year. But that is a floating matrix that the county sits or sets for us to reach that budget level. And so we don't, if your property goes up, we don't get any more unless it's all on the rate. Okay, so it is very confusing, but if we hold the rate that was last year, we will get a increase. Because those go back and forth, so it's all in the rates, and those numbers are confusing for a reason. I don't know what the reason is. It's a stupid thing that we don't have any control over. But it is, and so we did that a couple of years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, we held the rate to the previous year. So that we could capture some of that inflation. I can't remember what it was, but it was about 8,000. It ended up being about a 5% increase in the city that we got just by holding rate. We didn't raise taxes. I guess in theory we did, because you would have been lower if we hadn't held the rate for the previous year. Because those things fluctuate with the market, and that is but it's just as the mayor said, not everybody gets the rate increase. It's overall the whole city, the whole budget. They guarantee if we put a budget together, that our budget is covered with whatever rate they decide to do every year. So Kristen, sorry, it is very, very confusing, but we do not get more unless we raise the roof. Right?
Jeff Davis, at 50 West. I was gonna get up. There's something that bothered me a little bit, because I've heard this. It was brought up by the person before here. I just hope that you make the decision independent of what the other cities' rates are. When I see a comparison of rates for other cities, that bothers me. That means that I wonder if the decision is going to be made independent of just what you're doing, not what other cities are. I understand that. I just went through the other side of what you're doing a week ago or so. But I would encourage you to make your decision independent and not throw a straw man fallacy out to say this is what we're doing. Compare ourselves apples and oranges to other places. And then if you make the decision independent of other things. Thank you.
I would say absolutely, I agree with you 100% on that. Those are for illustration purposes only, because statements are made like, have been made, it's like, okay, I want you to see how good we have it, and how hard we're trying to keep it. And what we're doing on each of our behalf, because I pay taxes too, on each of our behalves. But
Hi, Jeff Bolingbroke, 541 West, 3000 North. So just a little backstory, about 14, 15 years ago, I first moved to Pleasant View. I lost my job within about 6 months of living here. And boy, it's something. And so, and I think everybody remembers that time. But I had to, tighten my purse strings and figure things out. And I had luckily a rainy day fund that I could put into it. So that kept me going for a few months while I was looking for a job. But my point is I had to eliminate some services. And I'm not saying that we're going to eliminate certain things, but I'm just going to point out a couple things. Like, I noticed that in the last year or so, we put on permanent lighting on the exterior of the building. That couldn't have been cheaper. And I got a quote for my house, and it was not cheap. And I did not do it because I'm not going to pay $5,000 for it. And I see it on, and I still see the lights on outside. which kind of, I'm like, it's not a necessary expense. About a couple years ago, I was here at a meeting and someone, I don't know who it was, I can't remember, some organization downtown Ogden was going around to all the various city council meetings asking for donations. We donated, and my son was here and he said, that all emergency does give away money? I'm like, I'm not trying to create sense, I'm just pointing out what happened. And then, and then I've heard too that, the trucks that we buy for the police force, if we kept those longer, could we get more of a return on them? Because I know it's about 10 to 15 grand to equip those trucks. And I think we're on a 2-year lease for the trucks. I don't know if that's correct, but that's what I was told. So if we're recycling those trucks every 2 years and spending 10 to 15 grand per truck to equip them for the police force, I think the county holds them for about 5 to 7 years, somewhere in that neighborhood. But that's a big expense. So I guess my point is 5,000 here, 5,000 there are small, but overall that really can add up. To be $100, $200, $300, $400, $700,000 and save the city money. So anyway, I don't envy your position, but appreciate you listening to me. So.
Want to make a comment there. I'm an insurance agent and.
Can I get your name?
Our company, my name's Ralph, sorry. Our company had meetings where they would have rate conversations, whether we should raise our rates or not. And usually the company came back and said, or the company had said before we went to the meeting, they were going to raise the rate to a certain point. And when we would go to this meeting, we would bring comparisons from other companies. We would bring the information we could to show that maybe our rates were out of line. And what I discovered was that it didn't matter what we said, they already had in the back of their mind that they were going to raise the rates to where they were going to be. So I guess my question to you is this, I'm listening to all these people and their concerns, and I think they have legitimate concerns, many of them, financially. My question to you is really, is this meeting going to really benefit? Is it just a formality of conversation, or is it something you're really going to consider as far as the rates and the hikes that you're going to make?
I agree.
So we're glad you're here. That's why we want to hear about it, because we're asking the engineer for
No, go
that information. But yeah, that's what we're asking you. Do you want, things like the walking path there so you can walk on it? Do you want the police to come? Do you want, we're trying to figure out, we've looked through this budget, we have tightened our belt, we've passed in the back, but I guess that's why we're so glad you're here, is because we're trying to figure out how else can we make this happen? And we have to hear from you, how else wants to make this happen, so we and we are listening. Nobody's made up their mind here yet.
Okay. And that's just my concern, that we are listening, that we do consider what the folks in the community that are. Some are struggling, some don't struggle, and I appreciate that, and then it won't bother some people, but others don't have to take it. Look at it, and then make a decision based on the information that you're getting from the folks. Thank you.
If you want to pick up where Steve Collier, 16 for the West Lebanon Drive. I really appreciate what you guys did. I know it's hard, and I know no one wants to end up in prison. Do whatever you can to not have to be here in this situation, and we'll push beyond that. I just wanted to ask one question that may not have an easy answer to, but from the industrial growth and commercial growth that we've had, is there kind of a projection of what we expect, perhaps, if that can apply to the 18% change? We're looking at what we might project that growth and impacting that. If you understand.
I'll answer that. When we put the budget together, when we adopted the final working budget subject to this, we had a lot of discussion as to what do we want to go through this. Okay. And the biggest piece of that was that great unknown. It's like, do people, are they going to go there? Are they going to, is Boyer going to fill the building? I mean, there's so many unknowns, and eventually, yes, they are, and yeah, I'm really hopeful that all of these businesses are really gonna take off. We're all really hopeful. Again, that will help us a lot next year. But that means we have to decide, and this is what we talked about, we have to decide what do we want our rainy day budget to be? Is it worth going through this process to still fall short of the goal that has been set in this city of maintaining 22%? Because even with this increase, it only be 19%. Is it worth going through this process to establish that? Or should we take away? Should we, I will say, if you want to go back and watch the council meeting, I made the suggestion that we take a lesser approach and we do more a wait and see. If it doesn't come to fruition next year, then we would have to take it, we'd have to go through this whole process again, which is fine. That's what we make the big bucks. So, you know, that's why we volunteered to come and do this, you know, I mean, that's why we all step through our hats and the rings to come and step forward and do this. So it is, we're all, they're all, I don't get a vote. Well, maybe today I would, but typically speaking, it's big unknown, and that's what worries us the most with this rainy day fund is this is a cushion. This is a cushion that we feel like if we feel like we need 22%, but there's no, and that would require almost a 36% tax increase, which of course we would not even willing to advertise such a thing. So we're all juggling with, do we want to back way off or not do it at all and see where we go? Or do we want to take a lesser approach?
Sorry.
Race, and I think that helped maybe answer Mr. Duncan's question a little bit. Have we locked in on this rate? And this is just a formality, it's just an absolute no.
Because I know that with commercial and industrial, yes, there's the annual property tax. But you have the sales tax revenue that's really.
That's where we're really.
That's the great unknown.
So that's what I said, I think we've done a better job bringing in sales tax businesses. Going forward, I think this. Excellent.
Sorry, real quick question. You're saying that the sales tax contributes more to, on the commercial side of the house. The sales tax, from businesses,
Need to be on the
contribute
mic.
as well as the property tax. But, that the business pays as well for, to the city, but out of the two, the sales tax makes up the brunt of that?
It depends on the business and how successful they are. You know, we made the announcement that Chick-fil-A is coming to play. Chick-fil-A's will probably bring a lot more sales tax than we property.
But
I
even
can't say that's true.
even property tax, self-tax too, it's distributed amongst the county. We only get 50% of that, well, 50 to 70%, the rest of it is distributed among the rest, by population to the other cities within the county. So like we do benefit off of like Riverdale and those other cities that are in the county. But a smaller portion, where the business is located, they get a lion's share.
Thank you. Anybody else?
My name's Simon Post, 301 West 3925 North. I walked in late, so I apologize. I didn't hear what the increases were, but I'm hearing the neighbors for the rainy day fund. I want to thank you all for what you do. One of like 5 people that consistently watches the YouTube stream. So if you do increase the money, please get new cameras. I can't make out who's talking, I can't hear the audio, and I know we're doing our best, but anyways. What I'm very concerned about this evening is the rainy day fund is important, especially the water main breaks, a lot of money, I get that stuff. I feel like there's a lot of unknowns with the future budget, and we know full well once you guys vote to raise the budget, lock in that tax rate, it never comes down, right? Yes, if home values go up and it drops, and I know the county has their fuzzy math. But there's a lot of variables to lock in the rate now. I know it's a pain in the butt to do this every year, right? Take a note from the fire district, they do it every year. But I just think a lot of people are struggling right now. How many families wish they had a rainy day fund? Right, I'm not saying that's not the reason to not do it, but be mindful. I think you guys as a council have been very respectable with tax dollars. I think you run the city very well, from the police to the public works. Very happy citizens. They handle everything. And if you do raise taxes a lot, please repay it over. It's getting better, but still. So thank you for what you guys do, but just please consider that. Like this, we all wish we had a 20% rainy day fund, you know what I mean? It's just not reality. And I think given where we're at with inflation and wages and everything else is going up, we might have to put it in. I understand things cost, but thank you guys truly for what you do. I know it's a thankless job and it feels like everybody here is like gonna look for you after this meeting. I will. I thank you for what you do. New campus. Thank you.
If you can take my car and go to Tesla.
My name is Clarence Foster, and I live at 3173 North, 1020 West, which is in the Origin subdivision. I've sat in your place before, not in this city, but in different ones, so I understand what you do with it. And have we looked at everything that we can do to save money? Have we looked at interlocal agreements with police force and other things like that where we could save a little money? Are we getting our, and I look at the cost of services there and I'm wondering, are we getting all the Class C road funds that we're entitled to? Are our reports accurate and timely? Another thing I'm looking at, and this may be something that in the future, but still, as a government entity, have we pushed for a Class C tax on the electric vehicles that are showing up more and more? They're driving on the streets. They're doing the same thing everybody else, but Class C funds come from road use tax. And I don't think they're paying their share, so do we need to push that up? The other thing, it doesn't relate to taxes primarily, but a couple of things that I have a personal view of, and I've seen and heard people talk about lately. One is if you have one of these blue containers to put your recyclables in, which is a scam and has been for 12 years, because all of that stuff is going to the landfill because there's no market for it. Is this a federal mandate? Is that the reason why we're in this policy? Well, so that's an extra payment we're making on top of already garbage removal, which we could put a second can in for less than we're paying for recyclables. However, if your can is damaged by this vehicle that's picking up your garbage, and these blue ones tend to get damaged more than the others. If you come up here and say, I need a new can, the city's gonna charge you for a can. We didn't damage it. It belongs to the recycle company. They should stand behind that. But the thing is, why are we paying a recycle company? Is it just a feel good thing? Because there is no market for it. It's going to landfill, just like the other. My last point that I want to bring up, the public works. To the west of me, I live in the orchard, so west of me, the city bought property from, it was Lee's Fish and Rice. The city owns that property now. Well, with all of the wildfires going on in the west, nothing is being done to that property to mitigate the growth that's on there. So there are grasses growing, they're 4 or 5 feet tall, and they're drying out. And nothing's being done, and it's being taken over by that Scottish system. Is there something we can do as public works to get that removed? Or something done with it to mitigate that so we don't have wildfire hazard in our own city? And thank you for your time.
Big Brooks, 1023. I think it's clear that we all understand that the city's not immune to inflation, but the difference is you can raise taxes to cover the inflation, and we have to dip into our rainy day fund to pay the tax.
So I would suggest that there, you know, it's just hard to believe that there isn't a couple of dollars per resident cut the city could make. And you could maybe dip into our rainy day fund for $2 a month. And you could make a cut for $2 a month. But the alternative is that it's raining. And if there's a rainy day fund, now's the time to use it. Inflation's a cost. Inflation is an action that happens like a water main break. I mean, it is raining. So I would just ask you to do it, whatever you can do to mitigate the cost that it does hit everybody. And I know $5 a month isn't a lot, but to a lot of people, it makes a difference. Thanks.
It's Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
Very smart man. Paul Mitchell, 743 West Fox Meadows Drive. In West. So our duly elected officials here in our community are acting with integrity, with sincerity, in our best interest as a community. It is not an easy thing to propose a tax increase in any amount, because we old timers live on a fixed income, just as the mayor stated. So how do you do that? How do you propose a tax increase on those that can't increase their income? But yet that does not mean that a tax increase isn't necessary. So I don't envy the position that you're in making decisions, but I trust that you will act in the best interest of the community. And you will be.
Lloyd George, live at 3129 North, 1200 West. Just a quick observation. I think if you were to ask, if we were the lawyer, and said, you asked the group, who's in favor and who's not in favor, I think the hands would probably be more not in favor than in favor from this group right here. You said it's not a foregone conclusion. Well, these are the people that you're representing. The other comment I would make is, what I'm hearing is most of it is intended for the replenishment of the rainy day fund. But you've also got a growing commercial base that is coming in, and we're waiting to see what happens. I'll echo what I think her name is Kristen. But she said, we have to do this right now. No, why not wait and see what that commercial base does with us? Knowing full well, hey, if it doesn't come through the way we want, at some point in time, yeah, we got to pay the piper. But I'm just not hearing that that's something that needs to be done right now. Because what is that magical number here for the rate? I'm a finance guy, so everybody likes a cushion. But 15%, 17%, you don't know. But what you do know is you've got a growing commercial base that is coming in. Yeah. Like 97 north and west. As the express, you're basically trying to decide for whether it be family, what we're going to do here. And I think for the most part, I can echo my sentiments with most of what's been said here. When I
received the property tax bill and, saw it was supposed to be $1,000 more than last year. I felt like I was punched in the stomach. And then when I looked at it closer and I saw, Pleasant City's proposing 18%. Felt like, yeah, it's gonna be impact. It's tough as everybody's been expressing that, I think as you know. I hope that you'll go into this looking at it as if you were trying to evaluate for your own family, looking at it. I think most of us can't go to our employers and say, hey, things are tough. We would like that, you know, freeze. I really like the idea of, well, especially what you've been doing to try to get our commercial base down there, and that hasn't come through yet. I think what has been suggested is maybe not a bad idea of that. Maybe this is not a year to get, I guess, you know, too scared about the rainy day. We've got the next year to see how that commercial base can start helping us out. And that's kind of what we have to do. We get in a bench during the year and we say, okay, let's tighten up this year. Let's hope for some better days. So I guess just add my sentiment to what's been expressed here, and I was really glad to hear that. We're not coming to this in vain. It's conclusions that we're not conclusions already made. I kind of expressed to my wife, I said, I don't know, this might just be a waste of time for everything to decide. Hopefully. Think for the citizens that are sharing. Thank you.
Okay, we're gonna go on for 6 more minutes and then we're gonna cut it off, so that allows 2 more people. Really wanted to speak, jump up and down again.
So, David Gossner, 721 West, 3850 North. I think we live in one of the nicest communities in Utah. And we have one of the greatest city councils that I can think of. I just wonder if we don't have enough in our rainy day fund, the cuts are gonna come to city staff and to our valuable employees. We just lost our city planner. I don't know how much funding was a matter for that, but people go where they get paid better. And we're looking for all these commercial areas to provide all kinds of sales tax dollars. If we don't have a planning department that can facilitate those applications, we won't get that commercial development. So I just hope that we can look at that, provide for our city employees. At the same time, we're worried about our individual farmers. Thank you.
One more. Anything else? I'm going to back to the council then. When we discuss. Motion we vote on it in.
Okay.
Arian, second by Eric, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. That's it.
I really appreciate everything that's been said. And absolutely, this decision is not made. I hope everybody feels that. That makes me sick that people think that your voice is not important. I really appreciate that, because we are the voice of the people. And as Tom just said, you know, or maybe it was Tom or somebody just the last one said, you know, if you raise the hand, everybody would vote against it. So is that what we should do? And I've heard everybody, you know, we're like breaking the bank with our $50 a year. And I know that's $50 a year that some people won't have, but I wish we would have gone to the school district and the county and all those people that are taking the majority of that increase. I wish this passion would be for that. But just know that you're heard. From me anyway, I speak for a fifth of the council. Just a couple of numbers I want to put out there. Our property tax, and I'm not quoting exact numbers, but it's somewhere around 1.3 million. Is kind of what we're gonna have. Just about 1.3 million is what we gather from all the property tax. And our budget this year, Laurie, is what, 10?
Are you going to ask the question?
Anyway, we have a lot. And so, and I have already looking at the sales tax revenue, which is the biggest revenue that we can affect, we should be able to affect. Is sales tax revenue. It's over 10 million. It's over 10 million in our budget. So 1.3 million is what we get from property. All right. Now,
Yeah,
let's
I'll-
finish up this,
I think I like you.
The sales tax revenue for last year was 2.477 million. Is what we got. Back in 06, we got 518,000 sales tax revenue. So, you know, I mean, we've kind of gone back and forth. Last year was the best sales tax revenue we had. 24.7, then we get road funds, we get all these different things that help make up that total budget. And if we decide not to increase the property tax this year, which kind of is where I'm thinking nobody wants. I mean, I've had a lot of people talk to me as well, saying, "Steve, don't do it. It's not the right time." But what happens next year when we fall short? Is everybody going to be able to take 30%? I don't know. I mean, I'm throwing numbers out there. The same people are going to be here next year. We don't want that. And I've heard several people talk about, you know, let's cut something. Yes, and I think, you know, David and I have talked a little bit about what we can cut. Where is that cut that we can have? When we sharpen that pencil, absolutely. With everybody's budget, we can do that. But what do you want to give up? And I'm not asking for that. I'm just in your mind as a city council, what don't you want? You know, Dan talked about, we don't want, we can't have comments anymore, sorry, but we can't have.
the question.
We need to clarify. I'm sorry, but that was the mayor's. But do we not plow the path? I love to have people walk on the path. If we don't have stuff, are those things given up? And then everybody is going to say, well, why aren't you plowing the path? Why aren't you salt down? It's a frustrating thing to be on the city council and have these questions and not know how to do it. And I appreciate what the mayor said about, I think we really try to be fiscally responsible. Yes, we put some lighting around the thing, maybe in hindsight, we shouldn't have put that. You know, back years ago, we put up this stone wall around the public works, and we had a lot of people say, I don't want to spend that money putting up that stone wall. Our public. But you know, and I voted to put it in years ago. And I love it. I think it looks really good for our city. Because I love Pleasant View. I've been here 30 years. And I love what it represents. I love that skill that we have in the city. I love what the city does. And everybody, all the staff are just so, I mean, they do 10 jobs. And somebody brought up the planning department. We absolutely need more in our planning because as commercial comes in, that takes a lot more than just a housing development. Commercial stuff needs, and we're going to be facing that. We have several developers right now that are looking at some commercial development. And we are wanting in our planning department. So how do we do that? I don't know. But just, I wanted to know that from Lisa Gibson's point of view, you are heard. This is an important thing for you to come and visit us and say what you want. Because I consider myself a voice of a fifth of Pleasant View. And I take that seriously. It's not my will, but it's yours. And so, anyway, Mayor, I mean, we're going to talk a little bit more about it down the road. But my feelings, I just say, I'm still very conflicted on which to go for good benefits.
Else.
I got a lot to say. I got a lot to say. I'll probably go next. That's one thing I really appreciate everybody coming here. I know you don't have time to do this. I sat in a truth and taxation hearing already, and it's a long time. You want to be heard and want to understand, but, I, for one, am not gonna raise your taxes or vote to raise your taxes 8%. I echo what Steve's saying, how we have concerns about it, but I think we need to wait and we need to, see what the sales tax is gonna do for us. And, you know, all of us have been living in Pleasant View for years and we've been shopping in Riverdale and North Ogden and all these other places. And now we finally have some people looking at it, but it's hard because the economy is not supporting big box stores right now. Lots of stores that aren't willing to even build a store, companies build a store. But if you look at some of the businesses that are going to be coming, several that have been announced already, Chick-fil-A and Sunpro is already building a lumber store. You know, that's huge revenue that they can get going. And then, yeah, Bird Brothers Tires, we all go to businesses way down in all other cities to spend our money for that kind of stuff. And so I encourage you to spend money here. I mean, Tom Hills, we're just talking here, but buy your plants in Bowman View. All those things, Bowman View Nursery, all those things help us if you shop here and encourage it. And hopefully all the money we've been spending in North Ogden, as they drive 2700 north, they're gonna spend their money there. So that's a big thing. I think we can wait. I'd love to, I'm concerned about our reserve. Concerned about other things that we want to do as a city, not just wants, but need to do. All of that is big, but, and I echo going to the other truth and taxation hearings. There's another one on the 19th I mean, I can't remember. Central Sewer, go voice your opinion. I was just at the North View Fire District and there was about 3 of us that make comments there, and they're trying to balance and do their budget and do their things. I appreciate Jeff being here. Helps them out with the budget. I appreciate that. They have a lot of things to do as well. But we do have one of the lowest tax rates in the county, and we want to keep it that way. We have nice homes here, and so it's a lot of money we have to pay, but one thing I wanted to share with you that I've been doing, and there was a lot of really good comments today about this tonight. I started in January. My career has been in making manufacturing, low cost manufacturing, and I've learned a lot of stuff now over my career. And I started working with the city. I'm calling it a high performing city. I started looking with city administration, the public works, and the police. And part of that is just giving them the tools, helping them understand how we go about being more efficient. And the comment was made here at the end, I don't remember who made that, but about having people, we want to take care of our people here. We're not in a position, or we don't ever want to do this to cut the jobs that we have in the city. We have excellent employees here. Our police department is one of the best. Our city administration and public works, all of them are really highly qualified people. They've been here, they want to continue working in Pleasant View, and we want to keep them here. It's a lot cheaper to keep them here and pay them well than it is to rehire them and train them and have people have no idea how to run our city. And we've seen that over the years. It costs more money to do that. So I've been meeting with them and giving them the tools, and we're starting to see ideas coming out and really some good things happen. It's going to take some time. They have to buy into it and they have to work and come up with those ideas. But the ideas that you bring in can help us, and everything you can do, just you ask for services to be done. You want the roads to be plowed immediately. It might be that we don't plow the cul-de-sacs 4 times in a snowstorm. We plow the arteries and we wait for those to wait till the snowstorm's over and then we plow. Whole bunches of ideas on how to be more efficient and use our money better. The police have lots of opportunities to do that and working with them as well. And they're thinking about it. We don't want to cut them short. We want them to be able to perform the services they do and provide a great service for our city in multiple different areas. The areas that I learned a lot about. So, we're doing that and we've gotten started on it. And so I think in my mind, we need to go the way, let's see what the sales tax does. Let's really continue down this road of trying to reduce costs and be more efficient in the way we do work. And then as citizens, let's look for opportunities too, where we can do things that will help our city be better and not have to rely on their services. I'm sure they'll allow them to say.
I won't belabor the point. A lot of good points have been made, so I'm going to keep my comments short. And I really do want to thank you all for coming and turning out. And I'd also really like to thank you for commenting along the way. So tonight you've all turned out, but throughout the year, if you'll just check in and see what's going on, call us and see what we're voting on and what's going on. We do appreciate your input. So I'll tell you one concern I do have is if we vote for no increase at all, then are we gonna have to go for a huge increase next time? And I mean, I'm willing to wait, but I also need to like feel supported next year if that doesn't come through. If the money doesn't come through and we have to start cutting services, then we're gonna need your support to say like, hey, like we trusted them not to do it last year, we asked them not to. And so I hope we're just not kicking the can down the road. That concerns me a little bit. Can residents help? Yes. Yeah. Thank you for offering that. Please shop in Pleasant View. Please pick up litter along the way. Don't be part of that problem. We've had vandalism in the bathrooms. That's costing us money. It's infuriating. Volunteer in the community. We'd love to have you paint fire hydrants or do whatever you can. Like, yes, that would help us. So that would be some things that we could have some help with too. I just want you to know that we take each decision very seriously as it comes along. Someone brought up leasing for the police vehicles. When that decision came across our desk years ago, that was the fiscally responsible thing to do at the time. And we look at all of the decisions along the way as we're trying to be very, very sound financially and we represent you and we live here too. It's our taxes too. It's our accountants too. And so balancing this, a beautiful place to live with not charging taxes is a tricky thing. And we have residents complain all the time, the roads are terrible. But we don't have any money to fix them right now. We just don't. Or they'll say like, the Christmas lights in the roundabout look terrible. Okay, then volunteer to help. I mean, that's what I'm trying to say is we're just trying to balance this between living here and having a beautiful place to live and not charging too much taxes either. So we understand that. We're excited about commercial business. We've done everything in our power to keep that corridor safe and protected in that commercial. And we think that's going to be an awesome opportunity coming down the way. So anyway, that's all I have.
Just to talk about the Christmas lights, they were, and Dave Green stepped forward and said, hey, I can do this for you guys. I'll do it for free. So he volunteered.
It's very cheap, but that's okay. We did it.
Yeah, that was not so good, so we can do better.
We did it. We bought it. I just want to, just for some perspective here, Tyson, you help me out. Let's see where we're going. But, no, just for some perspective, that water main break on 500 West ballpark, what did it cost us? It was, and my recollection, it was it's 500,000. The water. Because we had to redo the road, we had to fill it up, we had to fill the whole thing. It's extremely expensive. So just there's a lot of money. It's just some perspective. So I agree with everything that has been said. I agree that we need to be very prudent and be very careful about how we spend our money. And this year, I would like to see how our commercial businesses get back in our sales tax revenue. I am nervous. I'm very scared because we've had several water main breaks this past year. They're not cheap. Some have been around my house. For perspective, my road has been crack sealed maybe twice in the last 24 years. And it's one of the oldest roads in Pleasant View and nothing to do with our public works department, but asphalt and repairs are extremely expensive. Steve Lawler can tell you how far it is too. And so there's a lot that goes into repairing roads and the cost of things. And so it's like, you know, draining our rainy day fund makes me nervous. It really, really does. And it's not just a rainy day fund for my own personal household, it's a rainy day fund for 12,000 people. And if something goes wrong, it's not just me that will suffer, it's the entire city. So just for perspective, things that are extremely expensive, but I think that we can always look at our budget. We can always look at doing things better, but we want to make sure that we take care of our employees because our employees have things to do. This is their job. We want people, if they don't work, if they don't volunteer like we do, this is how they feed their families. This is how they take care of their households too. So as much as we would like to think that people will come to work in Pleasant View for dirt cheap, they won't, not any more than we would. And so we need to make sure that we take care of our employees and we take care of the residents who live here. But I, like Dave, like Steve, like Dan, I think that, this may not be the year to do this, so we cross our fingers that we don't have a catastrophe and that everything works out okay. But if it doesn't, and then we do have a catastrophe, then what? And we don't have enough money in our rainy day fund. Just some perspective, just some.
So. Based on the discussion here, it's like, why did they advertise an 18% tax increase? So we start working in the budget back in May, well, we start working in January, actually, but we put the tentative budget. And then it's in May. So when we were talking about this, none of the business has been open, even open yet. So we have no gauge, and we still don't, because we haven't really gotten the first quarter sales tax yet. So we really haven't gotten a gauge as to where we're gonna be. We were just flying by, seat of our pants. And like I said, if you go back and watch the minutes of the meeting where we discussed even doing this, it was a hard decision. We're kind of in no man's land. It's like, we know we're going to get money, right? We know we're going to get money. Do we know how much money we're going to get? No, I just hope all these, I hope we are going to these. You're using their services. And they're great businesses, and trying to get their actually week. So anyway, it's frustrating that we make these decisions months and months before we even have, and we're still making them informed or ill-informed, or whatever you want to call it, decision tonight because we do not have all the facts. So it's frustrating. We represent you. Thought it was important to say, hey, stop rainy day fund because that's to protect you. So that's why we're holding this. That's why we proposed it. Again, nowhere near what anybody was excited to say, hey, yeah, let's do an 18% tax increase. It just wasn't.
When you're done, I just wanted to make two comments really quick. And Laurie, can you, I know on our paperwork we had, if how much we would get if we held the tax rate. That's something you said.
Amy has it in her presentation, I think.
If we held the tax rate at the current value, can you get that for me, please?
Yeah, Amy has it in her.
And
Where it was
and that
18, you had like a 17% or something. There.
Oh, right here. For the rainy day fund?
no.
No.
We just held the tax rate at 1 year.
Where we were counting that.
Instead of having to float and get an 18%, we just held the tax rate. Can you just tell me what would that be? And then, just for perspective, you know, we talked about something that's coming. July 23-24, July sales tax revenue was $186,614. That was last year in July. This July 24-25, so we started that. We have $186,231. So we are $300 and some odd dollars less in sales tax revenue than we were here, which is not good.
And that's all of the county, what we get from the county and the city as well.
That's what we get, our share of sales tax revenue in the city and you know, Riverdale, we get a little bit of Riverdale's sales tax revenue that comes to everybody, in Plain City and Far West, everybody gets a little share of the sales tax, we get the bigger share of the sales tax generated here. But anyway, our money is, again, we're looking for this increase in sales tax revenue. That's what we all want. We want sales tax revenue. That's what, hopefully, that good money coming in. But we are a little bit under what we were last year. We haven't got some of these big businesses coming in yet. Sunpro, the tire shop, Chick-fil-A, those are all still. Anyway, so before Dave makes the motion, I just want to see what if we held the sales tax revenue. It was on our original page when we did.
Yeah. That the number? So if we held it, our revenue would be $1,127,119. If we held the rate, $1,127,000, I'll just round it. And then we're asking for $1,277,000.
So if we voted tonight to hold the rate, that does not cover inflation, but we're not behind. And something we talked about, you know, how do you do that? But that is one way that we can capture a little bit of inflation by just holding the rate from last year versus going down. Then we lose all that. So that. So we gain about $50,000 or so if we hold the rate.
Oh, when you say hold the rate, you mean as to last year.
As to last year.
So to maintain the 0.00 or 0.000786.
So.
Is that the?
No, that's.
That's
No, the current rate is 0.00786. If we hold that. Yeah, if we hold that rate, whatever that rate was, which is.
There's the three numbers now.
0.086, so that will, if we don't have to propose 18%, that current rate probably will go down because everybody is paying a little bit more into it. That makes sense? I don't need comments, but do you understand what I'm saying when I say that?
It's about a little over 4%.
So they've got its notice right here. It actually goes down to 0.00759 if we don't hold the rate. And so it actually goes down.
A 5% increase is what, 7.9. Or sorry, 7.9.
So we could consider, I'm talking to the council now, a 4% increase, which holding the rate is not, doesn't do a whole lot, but at least we're not behind. And that's what, when Ann talks about kicking the can down the road, I worry, you know, because we have all these increases, but we're just even more behind next year. And
So based on what Laurie's prepared for, if we do a 4% increase, that would be, if I'm reading this right, we would have an increase of $38,000 this year, yearly budget to work with inflation.
and that's not much,
No.
but it's, I don't know, I'm just saying that's an option.
That's all it would be if we held the.
If we hold the rate, same as it is today. Or a little under $1, not $1. So I don't know, that's, or we don't do anything and but then we're 4% behind. And I mean, I've been here for 12 years and everybody says we gotta do something, 5% a year. That's horrible. But we haven't. I don't know. Anyway, just to put that to the council, I'm not gonna make a motion for that. Dave, you're gonna make a motion on it.
Yeah, I mean, I've been listening to you guys just talk about, I mean, because I'm at 0% increase in tax, that's where I was coming into this. I feel like we waited. Listen, you talked about it, I'd be willing to make a motion. For the tax rate, which 4% gives us a little more in the right direction. And also, the way this from. But allowing us to wait, to see what sales tax does, because I think it's going to be better than.
Also, it's for consideration. Take the way though, because you want to start this right, where you want to see the revenue.
That's still, we know, we know that's coming, and that's something that's in our back pocket.
Yeah, there's lots in there. I don't hope to bring in even more. But that's my motion, so I think, no, hold tax rate. I mean, that's 0.78. Sorry, I did not. So I would like to make the tax rate at a current rate of 0.0006. Approximately, I think somewhere between 4 and 5%. It's closer to it. I have a motion, I have a second.
So I just want to verify that we're doing our math correct, but if we do that, at the proposed 0.00786, that would be roughly a 3.56% increase. And the revenue reflected $38,000, $386. I just want to verify that math is correct and not the word.
Very kind of question. Is that even? That, I mean, what?
38,000.
I'm sorry, Larry.
What is the, we had some wages. That just didn't cover wages, as a.
Yeah.
Well, I know the budget's good, but, I mean, we're budget's good, and this,
Yeah.
It's more or less that rainy day fund. And yeah, it doesn't increase the rainy day fund much. I think it makes it to 18.15%. So.
So we do have a calculator. We'll put it in. Larry.
So,
Can you see which one is that the formula?
Yeah.
Put that, see if there's a formula in there. Okay, put that.
Take a rainy day budget to 18.15. It's just under
786.
So instead of our rainy day fund being at 17.09, if we do. Oh, thanks, I'm getting blind.
if you do that thing, it will go to 17.69.
All the rate will go to 18.15.
Yes,
That would be our rainy day fund at 18.
and it would add 38,000 to the rainy day fund. 38,356.
Would increase. Oh, that was over the year.
Mayor, I'll second that motion.
Motion.
You know, we actually have a resolution that you're gonna do it by. So if we plugged in that 0.000786, we'll plug that into the resolution 2024-R. The revenue that the budgeted revenue that we're gonna receive it from it is $1,116,591, and that'll be the other number
That's the revenue for property.
for the
taxes.
whole
The
property taxes
entirety.
for the
And then
entire
the
year.
increased portion is 165,000.
It's
The increase is
38,000.
38, but from last year to this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, the last, so 38,000.
So that's resolution 2024.
Yeah.
That's the difference. 156,000 is the difference in the bill.
The difference, if you hold the rate, is 38,356. This is the total revenue for that property. So if you take that number, it's that right.
We'll change our carryover from 17.69%. About a. That increases our rainy day revenue. But that's a year over year, and at this point. It's year over year, right? That is in the following years too, so.
Yeah, we're not losing ground at that rate.
I think we have to be conservative and cautious and better at reducing cost. And reserve point. It's not gonna be easy, but it's what we have to do. And we have the motion in the second. That's resolution 2024-R. Did you keep the rate same?
Yes, and also look at section 2 of it. So the final budget, we will change those numbers and put them in there. But the budget that we adopted tentatively will be changed with those numbers if that's how you want to adopt it tonight. And it'll be the final budget.
So the motion really needs to say approve resolution 2024-R. Adopting the certified tax rate of 0.000786, I believe. And then section 2 is to approve the final.
So
Okay with the second?
Yes.
This will be a roll call vote.
Do you know what? I missed who seconded it. I was busy.
Gibson. Okay. Karen.
Yes.
Gibson.
Yeah.
Marriott.
yes.
Nothing absent. Yuri.
Yes.
Motion carries 4-0. One not here, one absent. So I don't know, let me just explain what this did. We approved the tax rate of 0.000786, which is the tax rate we used last year. Okay. Now it does actually give us a little bit more money, $38,000. Or it will increase our rainy day fund 0.46, so less than 0.5%. So our rainy day fund will be at about 18.15%. Which is certainly a lot better than 18.15 or whatever. So the final would be. So it wasn't zero, but it was what did I say? 3.56 was the final. All right. So. You're in motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn. I'll second that motion.
Okay, say aye. Aye. Thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you for your input. Thank you for the first instruction. You know, 3% like 80 cents of
If I come up with an extra $100, this.
I just think it was not.
I know, we thought we had all the numbers, but we really
Had a
don't.
veterans monument out front.
The city is. And you could and you're concerned about this rainy day. We are open to donations. $100 because it's not every year. This year.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for coming tonight.